Hello, this is Mrs. Ross, and this is Module C, Unit 3, Lesson 3, Maintaining Biodiversity Notes. I'm going to go through this rather quickly, so if you need to pause it or go back or stop it, feel free to do so. Let's see what page this is. This is page 167, and we start on 168. So it says, example of how humans depend on healthy ecosystems. That's going to be right here. Humans depend on resources provided by healthy ecosystems. Great. What is an example? For example, fish breed in mango forests. Therefore, the forests provide food and jobs for people who live nearby. That is your example. So that's this first part. Let me get to the draw screen. That's going to be this first part. Let's also turn that off. I'll say it again. For example, fish breed in mangrove forests. Therefore, the forests provide food and jobs for people who live nearby. How is the health of an ecosystem defined? The health of an ecosystem, such as the mangrove forest, can be defined by how well it can recover from disturbances. Can be defined by how well it can recover from disturbances, and that's this one. How are health of an ecosystem and biodiversity related? The higher the biodiversity level within an ecosystem, the healthier it is. The higher the biodiversity level within an ecosystem, the healthier it is. There we go. Let me pull this. Oops. Okay. What happens as an ecosystem loses biodiversity? So let's see. As an ecosystem loses biodiversity, natural resources become less available. Natural resources become less available. So that's that one. And then we're on to our first quick check. And it says the table lists the number and variety of organisms in 4 different ecosystems. Based on the table, which ecosystem is most likely to recover from a disturbance? And the answer is ecosystem number 2. The table is over here. Okay, and then we need to go to 169 to define natural resources. Okay. A natural resource is any natural material used by humans. A natural resource is any natural material used by humans. And then example of natural resources, let's see. Fresh water, food, medicines. It says humans rely on ecosystems for natural resources such as fresh water, food, medicines, energy, clothing, and building materials. So I would list those as my examples. And then it says ecosystem service definition. I believe this is actually on the next page. So yeah, I think this is on page 170. And the definition of ecosystem service is any ecosystem function that provides benefits to humans. Any ecosystem function that provides benefits to humans. Examples of ecosystem services. Where am I? Right there. Water purification, nutrient recycling, and climate regulation are ecosystem services. Water purification, nutrient recycling, and climate regulation are ecosystem services. Okay, and then we're on to the next page. What 2 things can cause biodiversity to decline? When biodiversity declines, there are few natural the ecosystem no longer healthy. Biodiversity. Oh, here we go. Biodiversity can decline due to environmental changes such as drought. It can also be reduced by human activities such as urban development or agriculture. So it can decline due to environmental changes or human activities. Okay. An example of biodiversity loss. One example of biodiversity loss involves coffee plantations. So coffee plants grow well in the tropical species-rich areas of the world, there are two main methods of farming. Let's see what happened. So as the demand for coffee grows, the expansion of coffee plantations into deforested areas is rising. So an example of biodiversity loss is actually the deforestation. Let me write that. Deforestation causes biodiversity loss. That's when they chop down trees. Okay. All right, let's take a look at these quick checks. It says, which of these support the statement that we must protect diversity because it affects the amount of resources we can use sustainably? And the answer is D. Diversity maintains ecosystem health by recycling and storing nutrients, maintaining water quality, and stabilizing the climate. And then we have scientists have been studying the growth of a city and the changes that impact its natural resources, which humans depend on. Specifically, they have collected data to show that human changes to an ecosystem can decrease the capacity of the environment to support certain life forms. What kind of data could the scientists use to support this funding and convince politicians to design solutions for protecting the city's resources? And the answer is going to be C. Data that shows how trees become more afflicted by disease as levels of acid precipitation increased. I really need to read the rest of those, but that is the answer. Okay. All right, habitat destruction on 172. Let's see, I think we're on 171. Here we go, habitat destruction, it's right there. The changing or loss of a natural ecosystem. The changing or loss of a natural ecosystem. What are most negative impacts a result of? Most negative impacts on ecosystems are the result of urbanization, farming, industry, or... Okay, what are most negative impacts a result of? Most negative impacts on ecosystems are the result of urbanization, farming, industry, or energy production. What is the largest threat to biodiversity? Let's see. Human activities are the largest threat to biodiversity. Human activities are the largest threat to biodiversity. So let's go ahead and move this down. We've got another quick check. It says urbanization occurs when rural or natural areas undergo development and become urban areas. Describe two specific ways in which urbanization can affect surface water quality. Let's see, surface water quality. Where is this question? Here it is. Okay. So the first way is increased erosion caused by construction can lead to chemical runoff from roads. So increased construction, increased erosion. Increased erosion caused by construction can lead to chemical runoff from roads. Okay. Increased erosion caused by construction can lead to chemical runoff from roads. And then number 2, overflow of sewage into streams can add bacteria and viruses to the water. Overflow of sewage to streams can add bacteria and viruses to the water. Okay, so these are two specific ways that urbanization can affect surface water quality. Okay, and then it says suggest 2 possible solutions for this. So first one, buy the watershed to protect the area from development. Buy the watershed to protect from development. And then 2, write policies that restrict dumping and pollution. Yeah, right. Policies that restrict, we'll just say restrict pollution. Pollution. Okay. Cool. Oh, okay. So now we're going to 174 for the conservation efforts in Micronesia. So let's see. I think we're on 172. Yep. There's 173. Here we go. Micronesia. Conservation efforts in Micronesia. Let me see. Conservations and efforts in Micronesia are underway. This is in the second paragraph. They are acting a multi-island agreement to preserve coastlines, identify coral reefs that need to be protected, and address harmful fishing practices. So this is enacting a multi-island agreement to preserve coastlines. They are identifying, identify, this is number 2, identify coral reefs that need to be protected, and then address harmful fishing practices. Those are the 3 conservation efforts in Micronesia. One cause of local extinction. Let's see. Let's go down here to protected individual species. Local extinction, protection of. One cause of local extinction is over-harvesting. Over-harvesting. Okay, and then we're going to go back, and there's a definition of keystone species. We have defined pioneer species. I'm not sure if we've defined keystone species, but it's right here. Protecting a species is important if it's a keystone species. Keystone species play a vital role in how an ecosystem functions by helping to maintain diversity. So you could say that they play a vital role in how an ecosystem functions by helping to maintain diversity. Diversity. Okay, example of a keystone species. For example, sea otters are sea otters. Are they not the cutest things ever? Sea otters are a keystone species. So let's go ahead and do the quick check. It says the map shows the migratory range of the Florida manatee, an endangered species, and tracking manatees biologists determine an animal's range. Conservation groups can use such data to support plans for protecting manatees in powerboats, which injure and kill many manatees. According to the map, where would conservation groups want to concentrate their efforts? By talking to boaters during the winter. Let's see. I can't see the map. You can on your quiz, but I can't see it. So if I look at a larger map, it's going to be Georgia and Florida. Mostly Georgia and Florida. Because they're talking about the winter time. So Georgia and Florida. You'll see, when you can see the map, you'll see that the winter path of the manatees is a dashed line and the summer is a solid line. Okay, I think this is going to have to be a 2-parter. Okay. Another quick check. Which of these describes an example of a keystone species that scientists should make efforts to protect? Aha. So I don't know how you would know this, but it's the gopher tortoise that provides home to more than 300 different species of animal. And I think that's the key right there. And then let's see. I don't know if I can do one more before it shuts down. What causes the most habitat destruction on 175? I think we're going to stop there, and we'll start back there with what causes the most habitat destruction in the next video.